This is the plaintiff, Frank White. He says he purchased a washing machine from the defendant, and the thing was a clunker that never worked from day one. When he tried to return it, the kooky guy tried to have him arrested for trespassing. How dare he? He's suing for $350, the money he's out. This is the defendant, Richard Bellotto. He says he used a third-party seller site to sell his washing machine. And if the guy has any beef, he should go complain to them. Good luck, though, because they have an all-sales final policy. Ah, he's accused of dirty laundering.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case in the docket. The plaintiff says he bought a washing machine from the defendant and it was a real clunker. But the defendant is saying baloney, that when the washing machine was sold, it worked just fine. It's the case of one vicious cycle.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Okay, Mr. White, you are
Good morning.
suing Mr. Bellotto for $350 that you say he owes you because he sold you a non-working washing machine. Tell me what happened.
Yes, we was in need of a washing machine due to ours breaking down, and we was on the service, so we needed to fill in. We have 4 children. The wife can't go to the laundromat every day, so we needed to find one online that would be, efficient, reliable, and inexpensive until our repair came back for our front-end loader. Okay. And we made contact with Mr. Defendant. He said he had a reliable, efficient Kenmore washing machine and in excellent condition and fully functionable. So we was excited about that and made contact with him to purchase it.
So did you buy it?
Yes, absolutely.
How much did you pay for it?
I paid $100 for it. We made arrangements at 9:30 that night after I got off work to meet with him at his home because I guess he got off late. And I went and picked it up with my brother-in-law that night, about 9:30.
And did you test it before you bought it?
No, ma'am. It was in the center of his living room. It wasn't hooked up or anything. It was just right in the living room. I trusted his word. He said it was working. It was fine. It was good. It was late. I was tired. And I felt that there was no reason for him to defraud me.
Okay, Mr. Bellotto, tell me about the washer and dryer that you were selling.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you for the opportunity. I had a washer and dryer that was provided by my landlord. He provided a more efficient unit of both the washer and dryer. As a result, I listed the items on OfferUp.
Wait, but they're not yours. They're your landlord's.
Yes, he told me I could sell it.
Oh, okay. All right. That part was missing. So I was wondering what you were doing. Okay, so he said you could sell it or get rid of it or whatever you wanted. So what you did was you offered it on OfferUp. And tell me about OfferUp.
Correct. So OfferUp, there's specific terms and conditions that we both agreed to. All sales are final, and it states specifically that should the buyer actually request, to try the machine, he may do so. In that instance, he did not. He had ample opportunity, and I offered to help him load it to his pickup truck, and he politely declined. He used a dolly to wheel it out. At that point, I believe maybe that's when any damage occurred.
Well, my question to you is, was the thing working before?
100%, yes.
If it was, why was your landlord buying you new stuff?
It was more efficient, more energy efficient.
But your landlord doesn't pay the electricity. You do, right?
Correct. My current bill in the summertime is around $400.
Why would the landlord care about that?
Because he was considering raising the rent.
Did you ever tell your landlord that the machines weren't working well?
I said that they were not energy efficient.
Did you ever say they weren't working well? No. Other than energy efficient, did you ever say they weren't working?
No.
Were you surprised to hear from Mr. White that the washing machine, according to him, didn't work?
I was incredibly surprised. He showed up prior to 9 a.m. the following day, unannounced, uninvited, unwelcome. That would go against the terms and conditions that we agreed to in signing the contract, along with the community guidelines.
Wait, what are you talking about? That would go against OfferUp's policies?
Correct. We're supposed to agree for a time and a place to meet, and he showed up unwelcome, uninvited, unannounced.
Okay. All right.
He was not supposed to be at the
I know.
premises.
I understand that. But had he texted you and said it doesn't work, or he hadn't texted you yet?
He hadn't texted me yet.
When he texts you and says it doesn't work, what do you respond?
I had responded, have you checked the hoses and clamps?
Okay. And had you checked the hoses and clamps, Mr. White?
Absolutely, ma'am. I'm over 50 years old. I know how to hook up a washing machine.
Okay. What was the problem with the washing machine, by the way?
It was leaking water. It was feeling very, very slow. It just wasn't functioning properly at all.
Do you have any video of the machine not functioning properly?
No, he asked me for a video, which we didn't send a video. We texted him immediately, told him that it wasn't working correctly.
Right, but okay, can I just ask you a question? You know, I'm not to be offensive or anything, but I'm in court, so I'm in the business of making sure people prove the things that they're saying. You have a telephone that takes video. Why would you not take a video of the problem, particularly when the vendor asks you to take a video of the problem? Because you have admitted that the only reason you bought this washing machine was in order to tide you through while a repair was happening with your machine. How do I know that your machine just wasn't repaired faster than you thought? You had no use for this, so you're just trying to get your 100 back.
Well, we're still waiting for our machine to come, so that's not, but we still haven't got it. He responded that after we told him it wasn't working, it was malfunctioning, it wasn't operating properly, and that we wanted to bring it back. So, to find out what's going on.
But why don't you just, okay.
Told me,
see, because the problem is that it became kind of acrimonious between you two because you were showing up without a designated time and place.
No, ma'am.
Well, yeah, because he called the police. Didn't he call the police?
That was on the second time he showed up unwelcome. That was at 11 o'clock at night, Your Honor.
Banging on your door?
So banging on my door.
Knocking on your door.
And that, I would say banging.
Okay, go ahead.
And at that point, I called 911. I was a bit concerned. His vehicle was out front of the house. It was obstructing my exit from the actual property. I provided
is this an apartment?
photos.
Is this an apartment building or a house?
It's a house. It's a duplex.
Okay, so the reason I see those concrete things is because you park there and your neighbors can park there, the other side of the duplex, right?
That's actually my driveway alone.
So
completely blocked in, unannounced, 11 p.m. Was pounding on my door at 11 p.m.
And he put the washing machine here, and then he stayed in the driveway. And then what though? Were you still there, Mr. White, when the police came?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, I called the police because he's not answering, nothing like that. I figured he coming in late. So I called the police. Once I got there, I knocked on the door. It wasn't 11. It took a while for the police to come, actually. And when I knocked on the door, I felt he was inside, but he didn't. I saw the curtain move. He didn't answer. So that's when I knew I had to call the police. I brought the machine back. So like he said, he'd show me, check it out. If I'm doing something wrong, he could show me that it's working properly. And if it's not, I want my refund because you're trying to defraud me. You're trying to rob me. Why would you not stand behind your machine if you know it's so good, it's so right? And now you're acting like I'm a villain because I'm trying to get straightening about the machine that my wife and I need to use.
I had asked a question earlier. How do I know that your other machine wasn't just already ready and you're just trying to get your $100 back? And the correct answer to me on that is that you have provided a receipt for yet another interim machine that you bought like the next day or something.
Absolutely, I did.
Just so that your wife doesn't have to go to a laundromat. Well, you could go too. I don't know why you keep talking about your wife having to go to a laundromat. You could help out. But in any event, I do see that, so I know that's not the answer. Here's where we have a problem, though, Mr. White. It's, I know that it's frustrating. But the only way you can get your $100 back is if you can prove that he has violated a warranty that he gave you. So the first thing you have to prove is that he gave you a warranty. All right. I know what he said in the ad. I mean, what he said in the ad is it's reliable, it's this, it's whatever. I know the words he said in the ad. The problem is that both the law and OfferUp's rules put the burden on the buyer to beware. When you buy a used item, it is considered in the eyes of the law as is. And on top of that, you've got the rules of OfferUp that say all sales are final. I'd like to help you, but I can't help you because the only way you can be helped is if you can prove that he knew that it didn't work.
Well, he assured me that it was working, and I have a witness that said that
I believe you. I believe you. That doesn't matter.
fine.
When someone sells something and they say, oh, it's super reliable, it works, it's great. The problem is then it's on your truck. I don't know what happened on your truck. I don't know whether you know how to hook up a washing machine for real or not. I think you do. But I'm just saying the time to complain is on the spot. So the time to test anything you're buying that is used is on the spot. My hands are tied. And I'm ruling in favor of the defendant because I have no other choice but to do that. I wish you luck.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
So the judge finds for the defendant, Mr. Bilodeau, in this case. Mr. White, what are you thinking right now? I'm sure you're upset.
Yes. I would say this. I would know for a fact if you purchase something to test it on the spot. I couldn't test it. It was in the middle of his living room floor. I took him at his word, and I found out that everybody don't have integrity and they don't operate on a good principle basics for their fellow common brother man. So I'm a little disappointed. I thought I had presented my case well. And
Yeah, you sure did. Unfortunately, the judge said her hands were tied and there wasn't anything she could do about it because you had signed that contract and it was final. You seemed like a really nice guy. I feel sorry for you. Mr. Bilodeau, you really do seem like quite a stickler. Do you feel sorry for him at all? Yeah, I don't think you do you?
I do not know. We both entered into this agreement on our own accord, and
let me ask you about his insistence that the washing machine was in your living room. There was no way he could test it before. How about that?
That's not necessarily true. My laundry room was just right around the corner in the living room, and I would have happily hooked it up and allowed him to test it if he had asked. He had ample opportunity.
You would have. Oh, that's very interesting. All right. Well, congratulations, you prevail. Okay? That'll do it. How about that, Harvey?
Okay, Doug, so a couple of things. When the plaintiff buys a machine like this, what you want to do, if you will, you take it for a spin, meaning that the plaintiff should have plugged the washing machine in and tried it to make sure it works. And really, that benefits both the plaintiff and the defendant, so you know what's being sold. Also, in a situation like this, that if the washing machine doesn't work, and it's a private sale, generally, you're out of luck. You can ask for warranties, even if it's a private sale. You can ask that you get a 20-day, a 30-day warranty or something like that, and then you make a decision. If they won't give it to you, you either buy it or you pass. But at least then the decision's in your hands.
When were you the most proud of the other? I'm going to throw that at you first. So,
I don't know if you remember this, but maybe 2 decades ago, when our children were very teeny tiny, we were at a diner, and there was a big poster. It was on a diner at a golf course in Miami, and there was a big poster on the wall that was framed that was a golfer who apparently had not had a good golf day, and he had punched the wife in the nose or something. It was a cartoon thing. It was supposed to be funny, and it wasn't funny.
right,
And you walked up to the old guy who owned the diner.
right.
And what'd you say to him?
I said, I really want you to take that poster down. I said, I bring my daughter in here. She was like 3 or 4 years old, and she was catching on to these kinds of things. I didn't want her to look at it and think that it's funny or okay to be sticking your fist in your wife's face. And
And in fairness to this fellow who was, was probably in his 70s at the time, he nodded, he listened to you, he said,
Right.
I'm going to think about it.
That's
and
right.
then the very next time we went, it was down.
a week later or
That's
something.
right.
Yeah, he
That's
had
right.
taken it down. I do remember that. Yeah. As far as me being proud of you, you give me stuff to be proud of every day, obviously. And
I had to go back 2 decades.
That's right. You got to go way. You got to really
just
reach
that
back. There's got to be something this guy's done. But there have been some times, a couple times I can think of where you took on some unpopular causes. One who was being accused in the press in Miami of something that she obviously didn't do, but there was an angle that was good for the press and they were playing it up, and you spoke out on her behalf, and I think it was even
It was during you were
during
up
my
for election,
campaign.
so your publicist
right.
all called me and started
Everybody
screaming
was
at me
like,
to keep my mouth
What are you doing?
shut.
And I remember talking to her and telling her she can't. You understand? She can't sit there and be silent if there's like a gross injustice being done to someone. And that person was completely vindicated.
2 years later.
2
Yeah,
years
2
later.
years
2 years later. And I'm really proud of that because it needed saying.